was standing outside the courthouse when the judge's gavel hit the block, making that cold, final sound that told me my marriage, my family, was officially over. And before I could even process it, before I could breathe, I watched my now ex-husband, Derek, slide the divorce papers across the table with a smirk so casual it felt like a slap across the soul. He didn't even look at me. He just signed his name like he was autographing a fan's t-shirt. And then he said, "I'm late for my real life now." Real life, as if the last 16 years with me and our daughter were some kind of warm-up act he'd been waiting to escape. I walked out of that courthouse numb, my purse heavy with the paperwork that ended everything I'd built with him. But my heart? Lord, my heart was vibrating like a cracked bell. I felt embarrassed, betrayed. But underneath all that, something sharper was rising. Not anger, not yet. Something more like clarity. Because Derek thought he was slick. He thought he was going to walk out of that courtroom, drive straight to his new girlfriend's wedding venue, yes, wedding venue, and slide into a tux like he hadn't just broken up our family minutes earlier. He really believed he was about to marry the woman he'd been cheating on me with for almost a year without consequence. He thought I was the quiet, soft, forgiving woman he trained me to be. He forgot who I used to be before I let love soften me. He forgot I knew every financial vein in his life because I built it. He forgot those 10 credit cards he flexed with were under my name. He forgot who raised him financially, emotionally, spiritually, until he found something shiny and new. So while he was kissing her hand, probably telling her some recycled promise about forever, I was walking to my car with my phone already in my hand. My fingers were steady, surprisingly steady, as I opened the bank app and scrolled through each account. 10 cards, all maxed to the limit because Derek loved living louder than his paycheck. I hit cancel on the first card, then the next and the next, every one of them, all 10. And I swear to you, the moment the last cancellation confirmed, I felt something inside me unclench, something that had been holding me hostage for years. Meanwhile, across town, in some rented hall draped in fake roses and cheap LED candles, Derek's new bride must have started vibrating like it was possessed. I could picture it lighting up in the pocket of his tailored jacket. I could almost hear the ping, ping, ping echoing under those wedding arches. Because the app sends notifications, loud, clear, and unavoidable. Card canceled, account closed, fraud alert, declined, declined, declined. And for once, I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. I sat in my car, closed my eyes, and breathed for what felt like the first time in months. I imagined Derek's face when he pulled out his phone, the way his eyebrows would pinch, that fake charming smile cracking, his ego deflating. But I wasn't prepared for what happened next, because while I was still parked outside the courthouse trying to gather myself, my cousin Shantae, who happened to be working that wedding as a server, sent me a voice note. Her voice was shaking so hard she sounded like she was laughing and crying at the same time. Girl, you not gonna believe what just happened. Derek's new bride, child, she got the notifications at the same time he did, 'cause she had access to one of the cards, and when she saw the alerts pop up on his phone, right there in the middle of the vows, she froze. That woman dropped her bouquet like it was burning her. Next thing I know, she whispering something to her mama, and then, tell me why this fool picked up her dress and ran out the venue, out the building, left her own wedding barefoot. I replayed that message at least 4 times before the laughter finally punched its way out of me. Not petty laughter, not revenge laughter, but the kind of release that comes when the truth finally swings the door open and lets the light in. Still, beneath all that humor, a heaviness settled in. Because even though what he did was wrong, violently wrong, this was still the man I built a life with, and he had tossed me aside like a receipt from a store he never planned to revisit. The pain sat there deep and bitter, the kind that makes you question your worth, the kind that whispers that maybe you were easy to leave. But then another thought rose up. Maybe this ending was my beginning. I didn't know yet. I didn't know how deep the betrayal really went. I didn't know he had done far worse things behind my back, things that would threaten my home, my savings, my daughter's future. But I was about to find out, because as I pulled out of that courthouse parking lot, my phone rang. It was my bank, and the woman on the line said something that made my hands shake and my foot slip off the brake. "Ma'am, we need to discuss several large withdrawals made in your name over the last 3 months. Are you aware of these transactions?" My heart slammed so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. Withdrawals? In my name? And that's when everything I thought I understood about Derek's betrayal turned into something much darker, something that was only just beginning. The banker's voice bounced around in my ear like it was echoing inside a hollow room. I remember gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went pale, the air around me suddenly thick, like the whole world was holding its breath. "Ma'am, these withdrawals totaled just over $98,000, she repeated, her tone cautious, like she was afraid the truth might cut me. "They were processed through linked accounts assigned under your marital household profile. We need to confirm whether these were authorized." $98,000. My stomach dropped so violently I swear I heard it hit the floor of my soul. That money wasn't authorized," I managed, though my voice cracked so hard it barely made it out of me. "I haven't touched our savings in months. I didn't take anything." There was a pause. Papers shuffled, a keyboard clacked. "Mrs. Landry," she began before catching herself. "I'm sorry, Ms. Landry. We see your spouse, former spouse, initiated all the transfers. The funds were rerouted to a private account. It appears he used spousal permissions to bypass verification requirements." My mouth ran dry. I knew Derek had gotten reckless, but this? My knees almost buckled even though I was sitting down. That was our emergency money, our daughter's college fund, the cushion that kept us from slipping under whenever life got too heavy. I'd saved that money dollar by dollar, packed lunches, skipped vacations, stayed late at work, did side gigs, everything. And he drained it without a single conversation, without a single ounce of shame. "I'm sorry for the shock," the banker continued softly. "We will dispute the transactions, but I have to be honest with you. It may take several weeks, and there is a chance some of the funds may not be recoverable." I closed my eyes, breathing through the heat rising behind them. I would not cry in this parking lot. Not today. Not for a man who used every piece of me until he emptied me and walked away still thirsty. "Thank you," I said quietly. "Please do everything you can." After the call ended, I sat there staring out the windshield, watching people walk to and from the courthouse. Everyone else seemed so normal, so untouched. Meanwhile, inside me, something was unraveling and tightening all at once. Derek hadn't just left me. He had tried to destroy me, financially, emotionally, spiritually. And the worst part, I still didn't understand why. But I was about to. My phone buzzed again, a text from my daughter, Maya. Just a simple, "Mom, are you okay? Did everything go all right?" She had no idea her father had just detonated our life like a grenade tossed behind his back. I didn't even know where to begin explaining. I typed back, "I'm fine, baby. I'll be home later. We'll talk then." Before I could even exhale, another notification appeared, this one from my cousin, Shantae. "Girl, Derek is losing it. Security had to hold him back because he started yelling about his cards being stolen, his bride nowhere to be found. Baby, you did not just break his wedding, you detonated it." I should have laughed, but not this time. Instead, something inside me shifted, a slow rising belief that maybe things weren't falling apart, but falling into place. Still, there was too much I didn't understand, too many shadows, too many missing pieces. So I drove straight home, barely noticing the lights or traffic. My mind spun around those missing thousands like a cyclone. I mentally retraced every statement, every conversation, every argument Derek and I had in the last few months. Had he seemed nervous? More secretive? Less affectionate? Yes, and God, yes. But the truth still wasn't close to the surface. When I walked into the house, everything felt off. Too quiet, too still. The kind of quiet that tells you the storm hasn't passed. It's circling, waiting. I set my purse down and went straight to the home office. Derek hadn't touched it since moving out 2 months ago, but as soon as I opened the door, the smell hit me first, something like old cologne mixed with stale guilt. And then I noticed it, his desk drawer, slightly open. My heart thudded as I pulled it out. Inside were envelopes, dozens of them, addressed to him, past due bills, debt notices, collection threats, things he'd hidden from me skillfully. And then one envelope caught my eye, a thick one, from a law firm. I opened it, hands trembling. Inside was a notice of intent to seize assets from joint marital property due to a business loan Derek had taken under our names, a loan I had never signed for, never even heard of. A loan for, I checked the paperwork, $120,000. My lungs froze. He hadn't just drained our savings. He'd put our home, our daughter's home, at risk. The betrayal was so deep it felt like it was bleeding inside my chest. I sank onto the floor, the papers scattered around me like broken glass, and for the first time since the divorce, I let the tears come, slow at first, then unstoppable. How long had he been planning this? How long had he been preparing to walk away while leaving me with nothing but debt and heartache? I pressed my palms to my eyes, trying to breathe, when suddenly I heard movement in the hallway. "Mama?" a small voice whispered. My daughter. I quickly wiped my face, stood up, and turned around. She was standing there with her backpack still on, looking at me like she already knew something was terribly wrong. But before I could answer her, before I could gather myself enough to speak, a sharp, unexpected knock rattled the front door. Hard, urgent, too aggressive to be a neighbor. Maya jumped. My heart raced. I wasn't expecting anyone, and something in my spirit whispered that whoever was on the other side of that door was connected to Derek, directly or indirectly. I took a breath, squared my shoulders, and stepped toward the door, slowly, cautiously, because everything in me knew this wasn't just another problem. This was the next chapter of the disaster Derek left behind. And when I opened that door, my entire world shifted again. The knocking didn't stop. 3 sharp hits, like whoever was on the other side wasn't just requesting entry, but demanding it. I took a steadying breath, glanced back at Maya, and motioned for her to step into the kitchen. She obeyed, though her eyes stayed glued to me, wide and worried. I opened the door just enough to see who stood there. A tall woman in a fitted navy suit, her curls pulled back into a tight bun, held out a leather portfolio embossed with the name of a debt recovery agency. Her expression was firm, but not unkind. "Ms. Landry?" she asked. I hesitated. "Yes?" She gave a clipped, practiced nod. "I apologize for the unexpected visit. I'm here regarding the outstanding balance on the business loan associated with your household. We were unable to reach your former spouse. We have reason to believe he may have relocated or is avoiding communication. Since your name is attached..." I cut her off before she could finish that sentence. "My name was attached without my consent," I snapped, the heat shooting up through my throat before I could stop it. "And I just discovered this loan today. I didn't sign anything." The woman paused, glancing at her files. "Ms. Landry, I understand how difficult these situations can be, but legally, if your signature is present..." "It's not," I said, louder this time. "He forged it. He has a history of doing whatever he wants when it comes to money. I haven't been part of that man's financial decisions in months." She slowly closed the portfolio, studying me with eyes that showed a glimmer of empathy. "If what you're saying is true, then you may be able to dispute liability, but until we verify that, I'm required to notify you that the property..." "My home?" I whispered. "Yes," she said softly, "is subject to preliminary review for seizure." Her words felt like a punch straight to my chest. I gripped the edge of the doorframe to steady myself. My home, my sanctuary, the one place I'd fought to maintain stability for Maya, was on the line because Derek had been out there pretending to be some big-shot businessman. I swallowed hard, pushing the terror down. "Ma'am, give me the paperwork. I'll get a lawyer. This will not be the end of it." She handed me a stack of documents. "I'm rooting for you," she murmured before stepping back and walking to her car. As soon as she drove off, my legs finally gave out. I sank onto the front step, breathing like the world was too heavy and pressing down against my ribs. "Mama?" Maya's voice trembled behind me. I turned to look at her, my baby, with her brown eyes wide, her backpack slipping off her shoulder, and suddenly I felt something stronger than fear rise inside me. I wasn't fighting just for myself anymore. I was fighting for her future. I didn't want to frighten her, but she could see the truth already sitting on my face. "Mom, is it Dad?" I closed my eyes for just a second. "Yes, baby, it is." She stepped closer, slowly, cautiously, and then she did something that broke me in ways even Derek hadn't. She wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "We're going to be okay. You always make us okay." And I held her so tight, I felt like she was the only thing keeping me upright. After a moment, I stood and pulled myself together. "Go put your things away, baby. I'll start dinner soon." She nodded and disappeared into the house. I walked back inside, closed the door, and leaned my head against it. The air felt thick, like the whole house was holding its breath with me. But one thought was pounding louder than anything else. If Derek forged my signature on one loan, how many other lies had he hidden? I carried the debt papers to the kitchen table, laid everything out, and began reading every line, every date, every signature. My stomach twisted with each discovery. He'd taken the loan 3 months before he even asked for the divorce. He'd listed our home as collateral, and the signature next to mine, it was a sloppy imitation of my handwriting. Close, but not close enough. I pushed the papers away, rubbing my temples. My head felt too full, too hot, like my thoughts were colliding with each other. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Something in my spirit warned me. This wasn't a telemarketer. This wasn't a friendly check-in. This was another piece of Derek's chaos coming for me. I answered slowly. "Hello? Is this Ms. Landry?" a man asked. His voice was low, businesslike. "Yes? Who's calling?" "This is Officer Jameson with the Financial Crimes Unit. Your name came up in an investigation involving suspicious transfers made under your household accounts. We need to speak to you for questioning." My heart stopped. "Questioning?" I gasped. "Sir, I didn't do anything. My ex-husband—" "We understand, and we want to help you clear your name, but we need to speak with you as soon as possible, today if you can." My hand shook around the phone. My knees felt like warm water. Derek hadn't just betrayed me. He hadn't just left me. He dragged me into a criminal investigation. And based on the officer's tone, it was deeper than I'd even imagined. "All right," I whispered. "I'll come in." I hung up the phone and stared at the wall, my pulse thundering in my ears. I needed a lawyer. I needed proof. I needed strength I wasn't sure I had left. But one thing was certain. If Derek thought he could erase me, replace me, or ruin me, he hadn't met the version of me that was about to rise from this wreckage. I grabbed my purse, my keys, and the forged loan documents. Just as I reached for the front door, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from an unknown number. A single line. "You should have stayed quiet." My breath caught in my throat because either Derek sent that message or someone connected to his secrets didn't want me uncovering the truth. I froze, staring at the screen, knowing this was no empty threat. This was a warning, and it meant I was getting closer to something or someone Derek never wanted me to find. I stared at that message, "You should have stayed quiet," until the words blurred. My throat tightened, not just from fear, but from a kind of outrage that lit a slow-burning fire behind my ribs. Derek had already taken my marriage, my savings, my peace, and now he wanted my silence? Or worse, someone he owed wanted me gone from the equation entirely. I locked the front door, double-checked the windows, and drew in a deep breath. My hands trembled as I grabbed my purse and the stack of documents. The house suddenly felt too big, too echoing, like danger could seep through the walls if I stood still long enough. "Mama?" Maya stepped out of her room, her braids swinging around her shoulders. "Where are you going? You just got home." Her voice was small, and God, I hated the thought of leaving her after everything, but I couldn't let her see me unravel. She needed to believe I was still the rock holding this family together, even if I felt like sand slipping through the cracks. "I need to handle something important, baby, but I'll be back soon. Lock the door behind me and call Aunt Shantae if you need anything." She nodded, but she looked scared. I stepped forward, cupped her cheeks, and kissed her forehead. "We're gonna be all right, I promise." I left before she could ask more questions. The drive to the precinct felt longer than any commute I'd ever taken. Every car that switched lanes too fast made me jump. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart skipped. I didn't check it. I couldn't. Not yet. I needed one problem at a time. By the time I reached the financial crimes unit, my palms were slick with sweat. I walked into the building and told the receptionist my name. She typed something, then gave me a sympathetic nod, as if she already knew the story behind my shaking hands. "Officer Jameson will be right with you," she said. Minutes later, a tall man in rolled-up sleeves appeared from a hallway, holding a folder under his arm. He wasn't wearing a badge around his neck, just a humble wedding ring and a tired expression, the kind you get from seeing too much people do to each other. "Miss Landry?" he asked. "Yes," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. He gestured toward a small room. "Come on in. Let's talk." The room wasn't like the interrogation rooms in movies. No cold metal table, no glaring light, just a standard office with 2 chairs and a folder waiting on the desk. He motioned for me to sit. "I'm not here to accuse you of anything," he started. "We just need clarification. Your name appears on several accounts connected to fraudulent transfers. We noticed withdrawals, forged signatures, and inconsistencies in financial records." I slid the loan papers across the desk. "He forged my name here, too." He scanned the pages, his brow tightening. "This lines up with what we suspected." "Suspected?" I echoed. "Officer, what exactly is going on? How deep is this?" He leaned back in his chair. "Your ex-husband, Derek Landry, is being investigated for multiple counts of financial fraud. There are victims, several, and based on initial reports, he funneled money through joint accounts to cover personal debts and a failing side business." My mouth dropped. "Victims? What victims?" "Investors, friends, co-workers, and at least one romantic partner." A chill shot down my spine. Another romantic partner? So the woman he married wasn't the only one? "Miss Landry, I'm going to ask you something difficult," he continued softly. "Are you aware your ex-husband owes a substantial amount of money to a private lender?" My pulse hammered. "How much?" He opened the folder. $250,000. I pressed my hand to my chest. Dear God. And based on the threats we've been tracking, it seems someone outside the law is trying to collect. Derek may have involved dangerous people. I thought of the text message. My phone buzzed again right then as if on cue, and I flinched. Officer Jameson noticed. "Is that him?" I don't know." I pulled out my phone and handed it to him. "I got a message before I came here." He read it, his face growing more serious. "This was not from Derek. This is a third party, someone trying to pressure you." My stomach twisted. What do they want? Money, or Derek, and since they can't find him, they're coming after me? I finished, the truth sinking like a stone into my chest. He nodded. "We're going to place a flag on your property and accounts. If anyone tries to approach you, we'll be alerted. But I need you to tell me everything Derek might have been hiding." I took a slow breath and explained the loan, the savings, the past due bills, the forged signature. With each detail, Officer Jameson scribbled notes, his jaw tightening. Finally, he lifted his head. "Miss Landry, you need protection. Let us help you." Before I could respond, someone knocked on the office door. A young officer poked their head in. "Sir, we have a situation. Someone requesting to see Miss Landry says it's urgent." I froze. Officer Jameson turned to me. "Are you expecting anyone?" "No." "Do you want to step out the back?" But something in me, something fierce, something tired of running, rose up and said, "I need to know who it is." We walked out into the lobby, my breath caught as I saw her, Derek's new bride, Tiana, standing there with her makeup streaked down her cheeks and her wedding dress muddy at the hem. She looked nothing like the smug woman Derek left me for. She looked terrified. When her eyes met mine, she rushed forward and grabbed my hands. "Please," she begged through shaking sobs, "please help me. I found something in Derek's things, and they're coming after me, too." I stood still, my heart pounding wildly, because I suddenly realized a chilling thing. Whatever Derek had done, none of us were safe. For a moment, the entire lobby seemed to freeze around us. Phones ringing, officers walking by, papers shuffling. Everything blurred into background noise as I stared at Tiana standing there in that rumpled wedding dress, gripping my hands like I was the only lifeline she had left in this world. The same woman Derek divorced me for. The same woman he married hours earlier. Now begging me for help. Her mascara streaked down her face in thick rivers, and her fingers trembled against mine. She looked like she had run through the city barefoot, fear chasing her more forcefully than any vow she spoke that afternoon. "Tiana," I said slowly, my voice thinning under the weight of everything pressing against my chest. "What happened?" Her lips quivered. "They followed me from the venue. I didn't know who they were at first. I thought it was paparazzi or something ridiculous like that. But when I got home, there was a man waiting in my building lobby. He said Derek owed him money, a lot of money. And he said if I didn't hand over what Derek left behind, he'd drag me outside and take it from me by force." My pulse pounded hard enough to shake my body. Officer Jameson stepped in beside me. "Ma'am, what exactly did Derek leave behind?" Tiana swallowed so hard her whole chin trembled. "A black folder, thick, hidden in his garment bag. I didn't even know it was there. I found it when I got home after running out of the wedding." "What was in it?" he asked. She shook her head violently, her curls bouncing. "I didn't open it. I was too scared. But the man, he said Derek ran with the ledger, and that if I didn't hand it over within 24 hours, they'd make an example out of me." A cold shiver swept down my back. The text I'd received, the threats, the loan, the forged signatures. Derek wasn't just reckless, he was running from criminals. And somehow that ledger, whatever it was now the most dangerous thing in all our lives. Tiana squeezed my hands desperately. "I didn't know he was like this, I promise. He told me he was starting a business. He told me he was investing in something big. I thought he was ambitious, not Not a liar, not a thief. Part of me wanted to say, welcome to the club, but seeing her shattered like that, trembling in a dress meant for a fairy tale that turned into a nightmare, I felt something unexpected, compassion, for the woman who replaced me. Officer Jameson motioned for her to take a seat. Ma'am, once you're ready, we'll need that folder. Her eyes widened. The man who followed me, he said if I talked to police, he'd find me. We'll protect you, Jameson said firmly, but she still looked terrified, glancing over her shoulder as if shadows had grown hands. She wasn't the only one. My heart was pounding, my mind racing, and underneath it all, a question cut through the haze. Where was Derek? The man they wanted, the man who caused all this, the man who vanished after his ruined wedding. And why did everyone seem to think we, me and Tiana, had something he wanted, something he ran with? I leaned down beside her. Tiana, where exactly did you last see him? She shook her head, voice barely a whisper. He disappeared after those credit card alerts. He looked at his phone and just bolted. He didn't say a word. His groomsmen tried to chase him, but he sprinted out the back door of the venue. The credit card cancellations. My doing. When those notifications hit his phone, I thought I'd just disrupted his party, but I'd triggered something much bigger. Officer Jameson crossed his arms. Miss Landry, you mentioned earlier you received a threatening message. Do you mind if we pull up your text history? Before I could answer, before he could finish that thought, the station door slammed open so hard it hit the wall. Everyone snapped their heads toward the entrance. A man in black stepped inside, face covered by a hood, shoulders tense, eyes scanning the room like he was hunting something. My breath caught in my throat. He didn't look like someone who came for paperwork. Officer Jameson straightened immediately. 2 officers reached for their holsters. The man's gaze slid across the room and landed right on us, on me, on Tiana. His lip curled. He took 1 step forward, and I knew, instantly, he wasn't here to negotiate. "Run!" Jameson whispered. Everything inside me jolted. He grabbed my arm, gestured to another officer to secure Tiana, and we rushed toward the hallway. But the man in black moved fast, too fast. He reached into his jacket, and the entire lobby erupted with shouting. Chairs toppled, officers scrambled, someone yelled, "Gun!" My legs buckled, but I forced myself forward. We ducked behind a desk as the world exploded into chaos. Papers flew like frantic birds. People screamed, and through the noise I heard the man's voice, cold, low, and close enough to freeze my spine. "You think you can hide from us? You think you can hide her?" Her? Me? I clutched the forged loan documents against my chest, breath shaking. Officer Jameson dragged me down the hallway, his voice tight. "We need to get you somewhere safe. He's not after Tiana. He's after you." "Me?" I gasped, nearly stumbling. "Yes," he said. "If Derek forged your signature, if he used your name, if he moved money through your accounts, then to them..." He looked at me with eyes full of grim truth. "You're the one who owes." My knees went weak. We rounded the corner, and there he was, another man in black, waiting, blocking the exit. He stepped forward slowly. "You're coming with us." My heart slammed hard. I felt it in my throat, because this was no longer about divorce, no longer about betrayal. This was survival. The hallway felt impossibly narrow, like the walls were closing in with every step the man in black took toward us. His boots hit the floor in slow, deliberate thuds, too calm for someone who just caused chaos in a police station. That calm terrified me more than any shouting or threats could have. Officer Jameson shifted his stance slightly, positioning himself between me and the intruder. I could see the tension coiled in his shoulders, his hand hovering near his holster but not fully gripping it, hesitant, calculating. He knew as well as I did that a wrong move could turn the hallway into a battlefield. The man tilted his head, eyes locked on me. "Miss Landry," he said softly, too softly, "you have something that doesn't belong to you." My breath caught. "I don't have anything. I didn't even know—" He cut me off with a small, chilling smile. "You don't have it yet, but you will." That sent a rush of ice straight down my spine. Yet. Whatever Derek was running from, whatever ledger he'd stolen, they believed I was the person he'd left it with, or the person he trusted to find it. They saw me as the next link in the chain Derek dropped the second trouble caught up to him. Officer Jameson raised a hand, steady but firm. "Sir, this is a police facility. Stand down and place your hands where I can see them." The man didn't even flinch. He only smiled wider. "Officer, you can't protect her. Not from the people Derek owes." His voice filled the hallway like a cold fog. I stepped back instinctively, my back hitting the wall, my purse strap dug into my shoulder, the papers inside crinkling like scared breaths. My mind flashed to Maya, my baby, alone at home, locked up behind a door I suddenly worried wasn't nearly strong enough. Jameson kept talking, trying to keep him distracted, but the man's attention never left me. "Tell me, Miss Landry," he said, "did he give it to you before he ran, or did he hide it somewhere you two shared? A safety deposit box? A storage unit? A place you'd know how to find?" I shook my head. "I don't know anything. I haven't seen him since he signed the divorce papers." He studied my face as if scanning for lies. And then something shifted behind his eyes. A realization, a flicker of understanding. He stepped closer. "Oh," he murmured. "He didn't trust you with it, but he didn't trust her," he jerked his head in the direction of the lobby where Tiana was still being shielded, "either. So where would he hide something precious, something dangerous, something people would kill for?" Jameson's hand finally closed around his weapon. "Back away, now." But the man ignored him. He hid it somewhere sentimental, somewhere only someone close would recognize, somewhere he thought no one else would look. He paused. "He hid it in your home." My heart nearly burst through my chest. No, he didn't. But even as I denied it, something inside me shifted. A memory, a faint flicker, a simple detail I hadn't thought twice about earlier. The open drawer, the envelopes, the fact that Derek hadn't stepped foot in that office in 2 months, and yet something felt disturbed, touched, recently moved. Had he been there? Snuck in? Hidden something before he left me in ruins? My stomach clenched. The man saw the realization cross my face. He took another step forward, voice dropping into a whisper that seemed to crawl under my skin. "Thank you." He knew. He knew from my expression alone, and before Jameson could even draw his weapon fully, the man lunged forward. "Move!" Jameson shouted, grabbing my arm and yanking me to the side. The hallway erupted into chaos again. Shouts, footsteps, the sound of bodies hitting walls. Another officer barreled in, tackling the intruder from behind. The three of them collided with the floor, struggling for control. "Go! Out the back!" Jameson yelled without looking at me. I took off running, my pulse roaring in my ears. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to move. The hallway twisted left, then right. Doors slammed open as officers rushed out, responding to the commotion. By the time I burst through the back entrance into the cold parking lot, my breath was coming in ragged gasps. The air slapped against my face, sharp and biting. But I wasn't alone. Tiana stumbled out behind me, her wedding dress torn, her hair falling out of its updo. She ran up to me, clutching her chest. "They said we needed to evacuate. What is happening? What did he get us into?" Before I could answer, Officer Jameson rushed out the door and locked it behind him. "We need to move both of you to protective transport. These men aren't operating alone." Tiana looked like she was about to collapse. I felt like I was already halfway there. "Officer," I said, my voice cracking. "He said something. He thinks Derek hid the ledger in my house." Officer Jameson's eyes sharpened. "Then you and your daughter are not sleeping there tonight." My breath hitched. "Maya, she's safe for now," he assured me, "but we're sending a car to pick her up immediately." I nodded, trying to steady myself. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip my own arms just to keep them from trembling. Tiana's voice wavered beside me. "What happens now?" Jameson looked at both of us, two women who had been dragged into the wreckage of one man's lies, and exhaled slowly. "Now," he said, "we get ahead of this, because if these men think the ledger is in her home," he turned to me directly, "they're already on their way there." My breath left my body in a single rush, because at that exact moment, my phone buzzed again. A new message from the same unknown number as before. A photo of my house, taken from the front lawn, and beneath it, a single sentence. "We'll find it with or without you." My knees nearly buckled, because Maya was still inside. The picture of my house glowed on my phone screen like a threat carved into glass. The angle was too close, taken from the walkway just a few feet from the porch. Whoever snapped it wasn't just watching, they were waiting. And Maya, my baby, was still inside. My vision tunneled so fast I thought I might faint. My breath came in short, harsh bursts, each one sharper than the last. The world around me dulled, the noise, the cold air, the chaos behind us, until only one thought was left, pounding loud enough to drown out everything else. My daughter is in that house. I didn't even realize I'd spoken the words aloud until Officer Jameson grabbed my arms, steady and firm. "Miss Landry, listen to me. We already have a unit on the way. No one is getting inside that house." I shook my head violently. "You don't understand. They're already there. They're watching her." His grip tightened. "We're going to get her out safely. You cannot go to the house." I tried to pull away, panic clawing up my throat. "I'm her mother." "And she needs you alive," he interrupted, his voice low but unyielding. "Do you hear me? What's happening right now is organized, calculated. These are not people you can face alone." His words hit me hard, but the terror inside me was louder. Tiana stepped beside me, her voice shaking. "Can they really hurt a child? These men, would they actually—" Jameson didn't let her finish. His silence was enough. I felt like the ground dropped from beneath my feet. He lifted his radio and spoke into it with clipped urgency. "Unit 7, status on the Landry residence." Static. A pause. Unit 7 responding, "We're 2 minutes out." 2 minutes. 2 minutes felt like 2 lifetimes. I stared at my phone again, at that picture of my front porch. I zoomed in, looking for shadows, shapes, anything. Something caught my eye. A sleeve, a black sleeve, barely visible behind the edge of the porch railing. My entire body seized. I grabbed Jameson's wrist and shoved the screen toward him. "Look, they're already on the property." His jaw tightened. "Damn it." Tiana gasped. "Oh my God." I couldn't breathe. I pressed my hand to my chest, trying to steady myself, but my heart hammered violently, like my body was trying to warn me something worse was coming. Jameson snapped into action. "We're leaving, now, both of you into the vehicle." He ushered us toward an unmarked SUV parked near the emergency exit. I stumbled forward, my legs barely working, mind spinning with every worst-case scenario imaginable. Maya hiding under her bed, Maya hearing footsteps outside her door, Maya calling out for me. My throat closed up. I gripped the door handle of the SUV, but I couldn't get in. My body wouldn't move. My mind screamed, "I should be there. I should be with her." Jameson stepped in front of me. "Miss Landry, please." A new crackling sound came from his radio. "Unit 7 responding. We've arrived at the residence. Front door appears secure. No visible signs of forced entry." I collapsed against the side of the SUV in relief. Brief, fragile relief. But then the radio continued. "Stand by. Movement detected inside. Window, north facing. Looks like static. Swallowed the rest. Unit 7, repeat. Jameson barked into the radio. More static. Then a muffled voice came. House alarm triggered. Possible entry point at silence. Dead silence. Every muscle in my body tightened until I thought my bones might crack. Jameson turned, eyes sharp. Get in the car, now. I climbed inside, Tiana beside me, trembling so hard I thought her teeth might break. The doors locked automatically. Jameson slammed into the driver's seat. I barely heard it. My ears were filled with the sound of my own heartbeat. He radioed again. Unit 7, do you copy? Unit 7. No response. The SUV peeled out of the parking lot, tires screeching against the asphalt. Streetlights streaked past the windows. I clutched the seatbelt like it was the only thing tethering me to the earth. Officer, please, tell me what's happening, I pleaded, my voice cracking. Jameson kept his eyes on the road. They cut communication. How? I whispered. Portable signal jammers. They know what they're doing. Tiana covered her mouth with both hands. Lord Jesus! I stared out the window, tears spilling over. My baby, my sweet, innocent Maya. She'd been through enough watching her father walk out. She didn't deserve this. Officer, I breathed, barely able to speak. If they get inside, if they find her, they won't, he said firmly. I promise you they won't. But even he didn't sound convinced. Suddenly, my phone vibrated again. Another message. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. A video. A 10-second clip. My stomach churned as it loaded. The camera was shaky, dark. The angle pointed at my house, the front door. Then slowly, deliberately, the camera panned upward to Maya's bedroom window. Lights on, curtains drawn. Then a voice, low and distorted, whispered, "Tick-tock, Miss Landry." The video ended. I let out a sound I didn't recognize, half scream, half sob. Tiana gripped my arm, tears streaming down her cheeks. Jameson swore under his breath and pressed harder on the gas. We're almost there. Hold on. But as we turned onto my street, my heart lurched. Police lights flashed everywhere. Officers stood in the yard, and my front door was wide open. The SUV skidded to a stop. Jameson jumped out, shouting orders. I tried to follow, but another officer grabbed me, keeping me behind the line they were forming. "Let me go!" I cried, struggling against his grip. "Ma'am, stay back. There could be armed suspects inside." I shook violently, sobs ripping through me. And then, above all the chaos, through the open doorway, I heard it. A scream, small, terrified, familiar. "Mom!" My whole world shattered. That scream, Maya's scream, didn't just tear through the air, it tore through me. Every instinct in my body surged forward, but the officer holding me back tightened his grip, practically lifting me off the ground as I tried to break free. "Let me go! That's my child! That's my baby!" I cried, my voice cracking so hard it scraped my throat raw. "Ma'am, we cannot let you inside," the officer insisted. "My daughter is in there!" I screamed again, twisting, clawing, fighting with the kind of strength mothers find when fear becomes fire. Before I could break through, Officer Jameson charged toward us. "Hernandez, hold the perimeter, but let her move behind the shield line." Hernandez reluctantly nodded, pulling me just past the barricade, where another officer held up a ballistic shield. My leg shook as I stepped behind it, heart slamming against my ribs, the world narrowed to one sound. Maya's muffled crying. Officers poured into the doorway with weapons drawn. Their voices echoed through the house. "Clear the hallway. Move to the stairs. Suspect may still be inside. Keep eyes sharp." I tried to see past them, stretching my neck, my whole body leaning forward like I could will myself inside with sheer desperation. Then another scream, this one sharper, closer. "Mom, help!" Something inside me snapped, something ancient, powerful. I surged forward, but Jameson caught me around the shoulders. "Miss Landry, don't!" But I wasn't listening anymore. My baby's voice shattered every rule in that moment. "You have 5 seconds to move," I hissed through tears, "or I swear I'm running in myself." He stared at me, seeing the fire in my eyes, and released me just enough so I could follow behind the shield team. My legs moved before my mind could catch up. Inside, the house looked wrong, violated. The living room rug was flipped, drawers yanked open, couch cushions slashed. As we climbed the stairs, I saw muddy footprints on the walls, handprints smeared across the railing. Jameson's tactical flashlight swept across the hallway. Then, "Room on the right," an officer shouted. "Movement, child present." My knees almost buckled. That was Maya's room. We rushed forward. 2 officers pushed the door open, and what I saw nearly took the life out of me. A man in black stood near Maya's dresser, mask on, hood up, gloved hands rummaging through her belongings. And in the corner of the room, backed against the wall like a terrified fawn, Maya. Her hair was messy, her cheeks streaked with tears, her hands trembling so hard she couldn't hold on to anything. She looked so small, so scared, so painfully helpless, it made something feral rise in me. "Put your hands where we can see them," an officer yelled. The man turned slowly, but instead of surrendering, he reached into his jacket. "Gun!" someone screamed. My heart stopped. Shots blasted, loud, deafening, flashes lighting the room like lightning. Officers surged forward, shields raised, shouting commands drowned by the chaos. I screamed Maya's name so loud my voice cracked open. Everything blurred, the noise, the flashing lights, the shouts, until all I saw was my daughter, curled into herself, sobbing in terror. The man fell after the second shot, collapsing onto the floor. Officers kicked his weapon away and restrained him, yelling, "Suspect down! Suspect down!" I didn't wait for permission. I ran. Through the bodies, past the debris, past the fear choking my lungs. I ran straight to my daughter. "Maya!" I cried, dropping to my knees, pulling her into my arms so fast and so tight she gasped. She buried her face in my neck, shaking uncontrollably. "Mama! Mama! He was in my room. He was looking through my stuff. I heard him coming up the stairs, and I hid behind the dresser, but he found me. Mama, I was so scared." I held her like I wanted to merge her back into my own body. Tears soaked my shirt, hers and mine. "It's okay, baby. I'm here now. Mama's here," I whispered into her hair. "You're safe. You're safe." Jameson approached slowly. "We need to escort you both downstairs. There may be more suspects." Maya clutched me tighter. "Don't let go, Mama." "I won't," I whispered. "Not ever." I carried her downstairs, refusing to loosen my grip for even a second. As we stepped into the living room, Tiana rushed toward us, face pale, eyes wide. "Oh, thank God! Is she okay?" Maya whimpered and hid her face again. I didn't answer. My voice was gone. Officers continued sweeping the house, clearing the basement, the backyard, the bathrooms. After several minutes, they confirmed. 1 suspect apprehended, no other intruders found. But relief didn't hit me. Not fully, because 1 man in black meant nothing. There were more. There were leaders. There were people who believed the ledger was still inside this house, and they had no intention of stopping. Jameson motioned us toward the SUV outside. "We're moving both of you to protective housing. Tonight, your home is compromised." I nodded numbly, holding Maya like she was the last breath in my lungs. But as officers secured the scene, another uniformed cop approached Jameson with a small bag. "Sir, we found this hidden in the air vent of the office." Jameson opened it. Inside was a black leather-bound book. My stomach twisted so violently I almost dropped Maya. He looked up at me, eyes wide. "Miss Landry, I think we just found the ledger." My heart pounded louder than any gunshot, because if this was the thing Derek had been hiding, if this was what these men were willing to kill for, then everything that had happened so far was only the beginning. The ledger sat in Officer Jameson's hands like a curse wrapped in leather. Even from where I stood, clutching Maya against my chest, I could feel the weight of it, heavy, dangerous, humming with the kind of truth that ruins entire lives. He turned it over slowly, as if afraid it might detonate. Is that what they were looking for?" Tiana whispered, her voice trembling beside me. Jameson nodded once. "I believe so." He glanced at me, and his expression tightened. "Miss Landry, this was hidden in your home. That means Derek used this place as a drop point. He meant for someone to come back for it, or for you to find it." Ice shot through my veins. "From me?" I whispered. "That's a strong possibility." He lowered his voice. "You said earlier that Derek hadn't been here in months, but this hiding spot required recent access. He was inside your home without your knowledge." My grip on Maya tightened so much she whimpered. I loosened slightly, kissing the top of her head. Tiana stepped closer, her wedding dress still torn, her makeup ruined. But why leave it here? Why not take it with him when he ran? That question hung in the air like a haunting echo. Why not take it? Why leave something so dangerous behind? Unless he intended to come back. Or worse, he intended to drag one of us into the chaos with him. Before anyone could say another word, the man who'd been shot upstairs groaned loudly as paramedics lifted him onto a stretcher. His mask was removed now, revealing a face covered in bruises, a jagged scar under his left eye, and a cold smirk even in pain. As they rolled him past us, he looked directly at me. "You can run all you want, sweetheart, but you'll have to hand it over eventually." I swallowed hard, my skin crawling. Jameson stepped between us. "Back off." The man chuckled. "You think we're the only ones coming? That ledger doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the man in charge, and he doesn't forgive. He collects." The way he said collects made my stomach twist. The paramedics moved him into the ambulance, but before the doors closed, he called out one more time. "You better hope Derek's alive, because when he's dead, you're the one they'll want answers from." Doors slammed shut. Silence dropped like a heavy blanket. Maya's fingers dug into my shirt. "Mama, what does he mean?" I forced a steady breath. "Nothing you need to worry about, baby. Mama's here. I won't let anything happen to you." But I didn't believe my own words. Not fully. Jameson tucked the ledger under his arm. "We need to go, now. This house is compromised, and if that man was telling the truth, others will be on their way." 3 squad cars were already lined up in front of the curb, lights flashing. Neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering, speculating. I didn't have time to feel embarrassment, only fear. Fear and fury mixed into something sharp enough to cut. I settled Maya into the back of the SUV, buckling her in with trembling hands. She kept wiping her tears on her sleeve, trying so hard to be brave. My sweet girl, my whole heart. Tiana stepped into the opposite side, hugging herself, staring out the window with vacant eyes. The reality was hitting her, too. Derek hadn't ruined just one life. He'd destroyed all of ours. The moment Jameson stepped into the driver's seat, my phone buzzed again. Another message. My chest tightened as I opened it. This time, it wasn't a threat, not a video, not a picture. It was a location pin, a single address, no words. Jameson glanced over. "What is it?" I showed him. His eyes narrowed. Do you recognize the address? I shook my head. No. Tiana suddenly leaned forward, squinting. Wait, I do. We all turned to her. It's the motel, she whispered, her voice cracking. The one Derek used to meet me at when we first started dating, room 214. My stomach dropped. Are you saying... She nodded slowly, dread filling her features. He kept things there. Cash, papers, clothes. I think he thought no one would look at a cheap motel. Jameson exhaled hard. Either Derek sent this, or someone using his phone wants to lure you there. Maya's eyes grew wide. Mama, don't go. I took her hand, squeezing gently. I'm not going anywhere without you. But the truth gnawed at me. If Derek sent that pin, he could be alive. And if he was alive, he had answers. Answers about the ledger, about the criminals, about why he destroyed our lives. I looked at Jameson. Should we send someone to check it out? He started to answer, but was interrupted by a frantic shout from one of the officers stationed outside. We got a fire! Backyard! Jameson hit the siren. Everyone inside their vehicles, go! We sped down the street as the fire trucks raced past us. Maya looked back at the house through the rear window, her little voice trembling. Mama, why are they doing this to us? Tiana covered her mouth, sobbing silently. I swallowed the ache in my throat. Because your father made mistakes, baby. Big ones. But we're going to fix it. I promise you that. As we reached the main road, Jameson's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the caller ID, then looked back at me through the rear mirror. It's the precinct. They ran the first scan on the ledger. I held my breath. And what? I whispered. He hesitated, just for a moment, and that moment told me everything. You're going to want to hear this, he said quietly. The SUV turned sharply, sirens echoing around us, streetlights streaking past like sparks in a storm, because the ledger didn't just contain numbers, it contained names, and mine was one of them. The SUV seemed to shrink around me as the weight of Jameson's words settled onto my chest like concrete. My name was in the ledger. Not Derek's, not one of his business partners. Mine. My stomach twisted so violently I had to press a hand against it. What do you mean my name is in the ledger? Why would he put me in it? Jameson glanced at me through the rearview mirror, his jaw tight. We haven't fully decoded the entries yet, but your name appears multiple times, connected to financial movements over the past 6 months. Movements? I echoed, shaking my head. No, officer, I didn't... I know, he interrupted gently. I believe you, but whoever this ledger belongs to won't care about that. All they see is a name tied to transactions, and that makes you a target. My breath shattered into pieces. In the back seat, Maya lifted her head from my lap, her small voice trembling. Mama, what's going to happen to us? I kissed her forehead, pushing her braids back with shaking fingers. Nothing bad, baby. Mama's going to fix this. But inside, I didn't know how. Tiana leaned forward, gripping the back of the front seat as if steadying herself. Her voice cracked. I saw my name in there too, didn't I? When Jameson didn't answer right away, her breath caught. Please, tell me. He exhaled. Not your name directly, but references that strongly suggest you've been used as a front. Transactions through accounts connected to your workplace. Your social security number appeared once in a disguised entry. Tiana gasped, covering her mouth. Tears spilled again, streaking her face. We were both caught in Derek's web, both used without consent, both left to deal with the monsters he ran from. As we sped through the city, the radio blared updates about the fire at my home, now contained, but investigators believed it was intentional. No suspects found. Of course not. Suddenly, Jameson turned sharply onto the freeway ramp. Where are we going? I asked. Safe house. You'll be monitored until we assess the full risk level. But something in his tone shifted, like he was no longer certain the safe house was safe. My skin prickled. "What aren't you telling me?" He hesitated. "When the ledger was scanned, we found entries tied to people outside Derek's immediate circle, people under federal investigation, and one of them was an officer." The air left my lungs. "An officer?" I repeated, stunned. "Someone in law enforcement?" "Yes," he said. "This case is bigger than we thought. I can't guarantee who's clean. That's why I'm not sharing the location of the safe house with anyone, not dispatch, not other units." A chill ran through me. Even the people assigned to protect us might be compromised. My fingers curled protectively around Maya, who had drifted into a quiet tremble. We continued down the dark freeway, lights from passing cars streaking across our windows. Then, out of nowhere, Jameson's phone lit up. Incoming call. Blocked number. His hand hovered over the answer button. "Don't," I whispered. He looked at me, then answered anyway, putting it on speaker. A distorted voice filled the SUV. "Well, well, look at you, playing chauffeur for the wrong woman." My blood froze. Tiana gasped. Maya jolted awake, clutching my arm. Jameson's grip tightened on the wheel. "Who is this?" The voice chuckled, low, malicious. "You found our little book. I should congratulate you, but now things get messy." My heart hammered so hard it felt like it might tear through my rib cage. "Leave us alone," I said through clenched teeth. "Oh, Miss Landry, you don't get to make demands, not after what your husband did." "Ex-husband," I spat. "Yes, ex, the man who thought he could outsmart us, the man who really thought hiding our ledger in your home was a clever idea." The voice paused, like savoring my fear. "But you should know something." The SUV shrunk around us. Derek wasn't running from us for the money. Jameson's brows pulled together. "Then what was he running from?" A long sigh followed. "He stole something more valuable than money, something your name is now attached to. That ledger is only part of it." My skin prickled. "What did he steal?" "You'll find out soon if you live long enough." Jameson snapped. "If you come near them again—" "Oh, Officer Jameson," the voice interrupted, almost amused. "You think you don't know where you're taking them?" My breath hitched. Jameson's knuckles whitened on the wheel. "You don't." "Yes, we do." The voice lowered, turning into something cold enough to crawl inside my bones. "Check your rearview mirror." Jameson glanced up, and his face drained of color. I twisted around, heart in my throat. Behind us, half a mile back, headlights. 2 cars, black sedans, closing in. Tiana let out a strangled cry. Maya clung to me, trembling violently. The voice on the phone whispered, "You have something that belongs to us, and we're coming to collect." The call ended. For a moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could barely feel anything except the pounding terror in my chest. Jameson hit the gas so hard the SUV lurched forward. "Hold on!" he shouted. The sedans accelerated in response. "Maya!" screamed as the cars inched closer, slow at first, then fast, too fast. "Officer!" I began, panic rising like wildfire. He slammed the steering wheel hard to the right, switching lanes, trying to shake them. But they followed. "They're gaining!" Tiana cried. I looked at my daughter's terrified face. My pulse roared. My heart broke. But beneath the terror, something else rose inside me. Rage, motherhood, the part of me Derek underestimated, the part of me these men had awakened by threatening my child. I turned back to the road, my voice low but fierce. "Jameson, whatever Derek stole, whatever's in that ledger, they think I know something, so tell me the truth." Jameson swallowed hard. The truth is, the ledger includes more than transactions. It contains coded files on certain people, high-level names, evidence of criminal activity. If decoded, it could destroy multiple networks. Criminal networks, I pressed, and political, financial, law enforcement. It's a blueprint of corruption. My stomach churned. And Derek knew? Yes, and he was using it as leverage or protection or both. Tiana whispered, horrified. So they'll kill anyone connected to it? Jameson didn't answer. He didn't have to. The sedan sped up. The SUV swerved violently. Maya screamed again. I clutched her head to my chest, praying through clenched teeth, tears blurring my vision. Then, the nearest sedan rammed our bunker. Hard. The SUV jerked. The world tilted. Tiana shrieked. The tires screeched across the asphalt. Jameson yelled, "Hold on!" Another hit. Another. The SUV fishtailed. We were losing control. My arms locked around Maya, shielding her with everything in me. The sedan rammed us once more, and the SUV spun across the freeway, lights swirling, metal grinding, our screams swallowed by the scream of tires, until the vehicle flipped. Once, twice, 3 times. My world dissolved into glass, smoke, and darkness. When I opened my eyes, the world was upside down, literally. The SUV was on its roof, metal groaning, smoke drifting past the shattered windows like ghostly fingers. My ears rang so loudly the sounds around me felt distant and underwater. For one horrible moment, I didn't know if I was alive. Then a small, trembling whimper pierced through the ringing. "Mama?" Maya. My body snapped awake. She was still strapped to her seat, flipped upside down, dangling, her little hands reaching for me. Her forehead was cut, bleeding lightly, but her eyes, thank God her eyes were open. "I'm here, baby," I whispered, my voice raw and broken. "I'm right here." Pain surged through me when I tried to move, deep bruising, maybe cracked ribs, but I didn't care. I reached across the crushed space and cupped her face. "You okay?" I breathed. She nodded, tears floating upward in the weird inverted angle. "Mama, I'm scared." "I know, baby, but we're getting out, I promise." A groan came from the front seat. Jameson, his arm hung against the ceiling, now the floor, blood dripping from a gash near his temple. "Officer," I called, "can you hear me?" He blinked slowly, wincing. "Everyone alive?" "Yes," I said, glancing beside me. Tiana was slumped in her seat, eyes half open, breathing uneven, her dress torn even more, her shoulder bleeding from shattered glass. "Tiana," I whispered, shaking her gently, "wake up! Don't you dare leave me now!" She stirred, letting out a pained gasp. "Oh, God, did we flip?" "Yes," I said, "but we're alive. We need to get out before they come back." "Who?" Maya whimpered. I swallowed hard. "The bad people, baby, but we're not letting them get us." Jameson struggled to turn his head. Through the crumpled windshield, headlights glowed several yards behind us, 2 black sedans idling at a distance like vultures waiting for their prey to stop moving. Jameson cursed under his breath. "They're waiting. They want that ledger." A fresh wave of terror rippled through me. I looked toward the front seat floor, really the ceiling, and saw the black leather ledger penned under the SUV's cracked dashboard. Still there, still whole, still the reason for everything. "We can't stay here," Jameson rasped. "We're sitting ducks." "Then what do we do?" Tiana whimpered, her voice trembling. Before he could answer, the rear window of one sedan rolled down, slowly, dark barrel, long, aimed directly at us. My breath froze. "No," I whispered. "Oh, God, no!" Jameson barked, "Down!" Bullet cracks exploded across the underside of the SUV, glass shattering above our heads. Maya screamed, burying her face against my arm. I shielded her with my body, praying the metal would hold. "We need to move, now!" Jameson shouted. "How?" I cried. "The passenger side. Kick it out." Tiana twisted toward the smashed window beside her, coughing through the smoke. She kicked once, weak, twice harder. On the third kick, the frame buckled, bending enough for us to squeeze through. Jameson freed himself from his seatbelt with a grunt that sounded like agony. "Get the kid out first." I unclipped Maya, catching her as she slid down toward me, shaking violently. I held her tight and pushed her toward the opening. "Tiana, take her." Tiana pulled Maya through the gap with her good arm, dragging her onto the pavement. Gunshots exploded again, closer this time. Jameson grabbed the ledger with a pained snarl. "Let's go, let's go." He shoved me toward the opening. I crawled out, glass cutting into my palms, my breath sharp with adrenaline. Once outside, Maya threw herself into my arms, crying into my shoulder. "Mama, they're coming," she sobbed. I looked up. The sedan doors opened. Two men stepped out, moving like shadows with guns drawn, not rushing, not shouting, just walking, like they knew the end of this scene before we even acted it out. Jameson stumbled out behind me, leaning heavily on one arm. "Run, all of you, into the trees." "The trees?" I echoed. He pointed to the dark strip of forest lining the freeway. Thick shrubs, dense shadows, concealment. "Now!" he barked. We ran. Branches whipped against my face as I pushed Maya ahead of me. Tiana stumbled behind us, clutching her bleeding shoulder, her breath uneven. Jameson followed last, dragging one leg, yet still urging us forward. Behind us, the gunmen reached the flipped SUV. One of them crouched. Something metallic clicked. "They're planting something," Jameson whispered. "Keep moving." A low mechanical beep echoed through the night. Bomb. Oh, God. We ran faster, branches cracking, leaves snapping under our feet. Maya tripped. I scooped her up without breaking stride. My lungs were on fire, my ribs screaming, but I kept running. I had no choice. Then an explosion ripped through the night. Heat blasted across our backs. A shockwave knocked us forward into the dirt. Maya screamed again. Tiana let out a choked sob. Jameson grunted in pain. I lifted my head, coughing through the dust. The SUV was gone. Flames towered into the air, lighting up the trees like torches. And behind those flames, shadows moved, calm, patient. They were still coming. Jameson pushed himself onto his elbows, breathing hard, face grim. "We have to keep going," he said. "The explosion will draw attention, but not fast enough." My voice shook. "Where are we supposed to go? We can't outrun them forever." "Not forever," he said. "Just long enough for backup to get here." "But you said the investigation is compromised. How do we know someone won't send the wrong backup?" He paused. He didn't have an answer. A branch snapped behind us, close, too close. I grabbed Maya's hand. "Go, baby, go!" We bolted deeper into the darkness, breath tearing through the cold air. I could hear them behind us, footsteps, branches breaking, slow, deliberate, hunting footsteps. Maya stumbled again. I lifted her, holding her tight to my chest as tears streamed down my face. "Lord, please save my child." We reached a small clearing, a moonlit patch of dirt surrounded by thick trees. Jameson stopped, chest heaving, face grim. "We can't outrun them," he said. My heart plummeted. "Then what?" Rustling behind us, closer, closer. Tiana whimpered. "We're trapped." Jameson turned toward me. "Miss Landry, give me the ledger." I froze. "What? Why?" "Because if they think you have it, they'll shoot you on sight. If they think I have it, I can draw them away." My voice cracked. "No, they'll kill you." He gave a faint, tired smile. That was always part of the job. "No," I said again, shaking my head. "No, I won't give it to you." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Madeline, your daughter has a future. Let me help protect it." Maya looked up at me through tears. "Mama, please!" Before I could answer, a silhouette stepped into the clearing, tall, dark, gun raised, then another beside him, and another. 3 men blocking our only exit. One of them spoke, voice cold as steel. "Hand it over, Miss Landry, now." My pulse roared. My grip tightened on Maya's shoulders. I don't have it," I whispered. The man tilted his head. Wrong answer. He stepped forward, and somewhere far behind us, in the shadows of the trees, a voice shouted, "Get away from them!" We all froze because I knew that voice. Derek. For a moment, time froze so completely I thought my heart had stopped. The trees, the cold air, the men with guns, even Maya's quiet whimper, everything paused when that voice cut through the darkness. Derek. He stepped out from between the trees like he'd been stitched from the shadows. His clothes were torn, his lip busted, dirt smeared across his cheek. He looks nothing like the man who strutted out of the courthouse earlier that day with arrogance dripping from every pore. This version of Derek was winded, wild-eyed, hunted. The men in black turned toward him, guns twitching upward. "Well," one of them sneered, "look who finally decided to stop running." Derek raised both hands slowly, stepping forward with caution. "Y'all came for me, not them." His voice wasn't steady, it trembled. "Y'all came for me, not them." The tallest of the men chuckled darkly. "We came for the ledger." "And it ain't with them," Derek said quickly. "I hid it, I moved it, they don't know anything." His eyes flipped toward us, toward me, and something passed through his expression. Regret? Shame? Desperation? I couldn't tell. All I saw was a man trying to plug holes in a ship he sank himself. "We found the ledger already," one of the men said. "In her home." Derek's face drained of color. I felt my stomach twist. He didn't know we had it. He didn't know his whole plan had already fallen apart. The man added, "And you're going to tell us everything else you stole, right now." Derek swallowed hard. Look, I can explain. I didn't steal it. I borrowed it. I was going to return." A gunshot fired into the air before he finished. I screamed, clutching Maya closer as she buried her face into my chest. Tiana fell backward with a sob. Jameson stepped protectively between us, shielding the 3 of us with his body, even though he was barely standing. The leader lowered his gun again, pointing at Derek's chest this time. "Enough. Hand over the codes, or I start shooting the girl first." Codes? The word hit me like cold water. Derek lifted trembling hands. "If you shoot me, you'll never get them. I memorized everything." "And why," the man asked with chilling calm, "would you do something that stupid?" Derek's eyes darted toward me again, a look so raw it startled me. Because I needed leverage to protect my family." My mouth fell open. "Protect us, Derek? You nearly got our daughter killed." He flinched, his face cracking at the edges. "I didn't mean for any of this to touch you. I swear to God, I didn't think they'd come this far." "So you hid evidence in my home?" I yelled, my voice breaking. "You signed loans in my name. You put our daughter in danger." He looked down, shame pooling across his features. I thought if they came after anyone, it'd be me. Madeline, I never wanted you two in this." "But you left us in the line of fire," I whispered, tears burning behind my eyes. "You walked away and left us to drown in your mess." The leader yawned dramatically. "This reunion is touching, but we don't have time for therapy. Derek, give us the codes, or I start shooting the girl first." My heart stopped. Maya stiffened in my arms, a tiny gasp escaping her throat. Before I could scream, Jameson stepped forward, gun raised. Not one step closer. But there were 3 of them, and only one of him. The men smirked. And then suddenly, Derek moved. He lunged toward the leader, grabbing the barrel of the gun with both hands and shoving it upward. Another shot fired into the trees. The clearing erupted into chaos. "Run!" Jameson shouted. "Go now!" I grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her behind me, dragging her toward the opposite side of the clearing. Tiana scrambled after us, limping, breathing hard. Gunshots sparked behind us, screams, men yelling, something heavy hitting the ground. But I didn't look back. Not at the flames, not at the guns, not at Derek wrestling for his life. All I cared about was Maya, my baby, still gripping my hand with fear and hope tangled together. We burst through the trees into a small dirt path just as 2 more gunshots cracked behind us. I froze, unable to breathe. "Mama!" Maya cried, shaking me. "Mama, keep going!" But before I could force my legs to move, someone stumbled out from the trees behind us. Derek. Holding his stomach, blood seeping through his fingers, his breathing ragged. He collapsed on one knee. "Derek!" Tiana screamed. I turned back, torn between fury, grief, and the raw ache of seeing the man I once loved on the brink of death. He coughed, struggling to look at me. "Madeline, I'm sorry for everything." I shook my head slowly, tears spilling. "Why, Derek? Why didn't you ask for help? Why drag us all into this?" He gave a broken laugh. "Because I didn't want you to see how bad I'd failed. I thought if I could flip those codes, if I could negotiate with them, we'd be rich, we'd be safe, I'd fix everything." He coughed again, weaker, but I only made it worse. More branches snapped behind him, more men coming. Jameson limped out seconds later, blood on his sleeve but still fighting. "We have to move, now!" Derek lifted his head one last time, eyes reaching mine. "Take Maya, run, and don't look back." "Derek," I began, but he shook his head. "This is my mess and my ending. Save her, please, save her." Tears broke free, hot and bitter. "Goodbye, Derek." He gave a faint, broken smile. "You were always stronger than me." Jameson grabbed my arm and pulled us into motion. Tiana followed, sobbing. Maya clung to me like a lifeline, and as we reached the clearing's edge, I heard the final gunshot echo through the night. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I knew Derek was gone. I held my daughter tighter and kept running, tears blurring the world before me, but my determination burning clearer than ever. When we finally reached the road, police sirens flooded the night. State officers, real ones, poured in from every direction. Jameson raised his badge, breath shaking, and waved them toward the woods. Minutes later, we were ushered into an ambulance, Maya wrapped in a blanket, Tiana treated for her wounds, Jameson nodding in exhaustion. And me? I sat there numb until Maya curled into my side and whispered, "Mama, did we survive?" I looked at her gentle, tired eyes, and I knew in that moment that yes, we did more than survive. We rose, we endured, we escaped with our souls intact, even if everything else burned away. I kissed her forehead softly. "Yes, baby, we survived, and we're going to rebuild everything they tried to take." She smiled weakly and rested her head on my chest, and I vowed right then, right there, that no man, no betrayal, no criminal network would ever break us again. I wasn't just a wounded woman anymore. I was a mother forged in fire, and we were finally free. If you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe to join our community for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I truly love to know.